I have the privilege of introducing our wonderful seminar leader, Rachel Lee, who's doing a continuation of her now, whoops, I had the phone go, I just clicked it off. It's going to continue, and we're going to have an opportunity to learn or use all that we've learned so far, and now jump into the interview process. So with that, I have the privilege of turning the virtual lectern over to our wonderful seminar leader, who's changing the world one individual at a time, one cast member at a time, Rachel Lee.
Thank you, Oscar. Thanks, guys. So if you haven't been here and you haven't seen our seminar series, what we've done is we've put together a lot of different ways to help people who are currently on the job market, from figuring out how to write a resume, how to write a cover letter, what you need to do to prepare to go into an interview. And today we wanted to give people an opportunity to practice being in an actual interview. This is probably the most terrifying part of the whole job application process, minus the waiting to hear back and all of the anticipation from that. But while we can't give you guys practice on anticipation, we can give you practice on how to interview. So how today is going to go is that I am going to be interviewed by our wonderful Toastmaster, Kylie. She's going to be my interviewer. We're going to give you guys an idea of what the job description is, so you know what we're talking about. She's going to feed me interview questions, and I'm going to talk back as I would if I were truly in an interview, to just demonstrate for you guys what an interview looks like, how you want to start to put your answers together, and especially nowadays, knowing how to interact when you're doing a Zoom interview, because so many interviews today are now online, and I truly believe for the future, that's going to be a way of doing interviews. It's going to be less in person, a lot more virtual, through the phone, through things like Zoom and such. And then if you guys are brave enough and you really want to get that practice, I've put together a wide variety of job descriptions along with additional interview questions so that we can pair off with some of our expertise Toastmasters. They'll give you guys a chance to take a read through the job description, embody that little interviewee, and then get to interview with these wonderful people. So you just get that practice, you feel a lot more comfortable, and we want to assure you guys that this is a no judgment zone. Any of the Toastmasters I have with me can agree we've done some weird, crazy things, and we do not judge each other for it. We really just want to make this a place where you feel comfortable, you feel that you want to grow, you feel that you can get good, legitimate feedback from us that could help you to become better in your interviewing as you continue on in your current job, your future jobs, and whatever career path you have. So first things first, I'm going to get interviewed, and then after you see me, we're going to gauge the audience level. We're going to figure out who's interested in what. And if you're willing, we're going to send you guys into breakout rooms with an expert Toastmaster who will be your interviewer for however long that interview runs. I'll do all the timing on my end. You guys will just get to take a deep breath and do some really good practice. So with that, I am going to take a deep breath and prepare myself to be interviewed. And I'm going to hand it over to Kylie, who is going to be my interviewer today. Just for reference for everyone, today I'm going to be interviewing to be a customer service agent in an insurance company. And I'm going to be working on the phone lines and the chat lines, just being a frontline service for the company I'll be interviewing for. Kylie, it's on you.
All right, thank you, Rachel, and welcome everyone. So my first question for you, Rachel, is can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. I was born and raised in Colorado, and I spent my entire life living and loving in that state. I went through high school there, I went through college there, and when I was in college, I studied business management. I was really interested in actually studying accounting, but I found that my love and my passion was in management, where I got to take on leadership roles and I got to help people as they go through their paths and whatever they're dealing with in their careers in life. And that really inspired me to do a lot that I'm doing now, specifically in Toastmasters. As a Toastmaster, it means I get a lot of experience public speaking, taking on leadership roles. I've been everything from a vice president of public relations, I've been a secretary, and I've even been an interim president for some of my previous Toastmaster chapters. After I graduated college, which happened to be in the midst of the 2020 pandemic, I, on a whim, moved completely across the country to Florida for a job that ended up being canceled when I arrived. So I had to go through the entire process of figuring out, okay, I have my degree, what do I do now? And so, with a lot of support from my friends, my family, and my Toastmasters, I ended up moving through a lot of different jobs, which gave me a lot of opportunities to learn various skills, to develop new relationships, and made me find where I felt I belonged and where I felt comfortable, which has been in helping others in various customer service positions.
Great, thank you. Well, and I think that ties really great into this next question is what drew you specifically to not only this role being a customer relations, but Geico?
So I find that I have a huge passion for helping people. I've done a lot of research, especially in my time studying business management, learning about where my passions were and where my leadership styles were. I've determined that I'm the kind of leader that wants to support and help others grow. Even if I don't see growth personally, what matters to me is that I see other people achieving what they need to. And knowing that I did this to help people is just above and beyond what makes things special for me. So being in a customer service role means that I can assist customers with the knowledge that I have to help make their day better, to help get resolutions for them. And that I can also be beside my coworkers. If they're struggling with something, I can say, oh, hey, I know how to do this thing. Let me help you with that. And they become better with that. Now, in terms of why Geico, well, it was just a miracle that happened in a moment. And I said, you know what? I have a business degree. I'm going to capitalize on this because that's one thing I've learned is that you don't turn down opportunities like this. And I know that Geico has an amazing company. Not only do you have some of the best commercials out there that I get so excited when they come on, but I also know that there's a really good history behind Geico, and they really do truly stand for goodness and above and beyond levels of customer service.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. And I think what you were mentioning earlier about being a leader, that's really important to be more of that informal leader in a lot of roles and seeing how even if you don't have direct reports, you can always be a leader. So can you tell us about a time where you demonstrated those leadership skills?
Yeah. Outside of my life in Toastmasters, in my very short career, I really haven't had many opportunities to hold a formal leadership position, but I've had my fair hand at informal leadership opportunities. Back in the fall of 2019, I participated in what's known as the Disney College Program. And that was a great opportunity for me to learn and understand and get to work with a big corporate company. I ended up being actually on the opening team for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is the new land that they opened that year. And being one of the first people to be on that opening team meant I got all of the knowledge thrown at me in just a moment, and I had to figure it all out myself and adapt to this whole new experience. But it also meant that when people came and they were newer than me, they often turned to me despite my literally just an intern title because I was the kind of person that knew the answers. I knew where things were. I worked a single shop so often that I knew where everything was located in the stock room without even being in there. I'd say, turn right, 2 over, 1 up, that's where it's going to be for you. And so I had this knowledge and this experience that I was able to pass on to people in somewhat of a leadership just to make sure that they were comfortable there, that they felt like they knew what they were doing, and that they were then becoming knowledgeable about this new land.
Oh, that's really cool. Out of curiosity, who is your favorite Disney character?
Um, the answer probably changes with the day. It probably even changes with the hour. And then I have to go through all the categories like, okay, I can pick my favorite princess maybe, but then like, do I pick my favorite animal sidekick? And then how do I start comparing the two? And then you have to consider the franchises from Pixar to Marvel to Star Wars. And it's just such a hard question to answer when you have so much love for all of these timeless characters. If I had to pick one, my answer would definitely change tomorrow, but at the moment, off the top of my head, it's going to be Donald Duck because he is my absolute favorite meet and greet in the parks. I just adore that crazy little duck.
Yes, he is pretty rambunctious, shall we say. And I think Donald Duck is actually a really good example of someone who may get a little frustrated at times. So can you tell us about how you would deal with an angry customer that called in or was over the chat, and how you would deal with that?
Yes. The number one thing I focus on is that the quote unquote customer is always right. So it's not always fact that the customer is always right, but it is fact that it's your job to make them feel right. And it's also your job to listen and empathize with them. Most customers want one of three things. They want to be heard, they want their situation resolved, and they want free stuff. It's always easiest to start with the let me hear you, let me hear what you're saying. So just stop talking, stop doing whatever, let them let out anything that they have to get out to you and understand what they're talking about. Are they just yelling at you because the price went up and you're like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do? Or are they yelling at you because there was a clerical error and there is something you can do? If there is something you can do, that's when you move on to the next step of being able to resolve their situation. So when you've listened and you know what's going on, you're then best able to utilize your tools to figure out what they need and how you can resolve it for them. If there's nothing you can do, it's predominantly just sympathizing with them and understanding, yes, I'm sorry, I know that this has happened. It's not something that I can adjust for you. But then there's a little side trick of, hey, let me go take a look and see if there is something I can do for you, just to make them feel that you're doing that little bit of extra work for them.
Yeah, I think making them feel like they matter is such an important thing when you're in that customer relations role. And a lot of times in our area, we do get quite a few customers who are sometimes on the fence about updating their insurance coverage. So what would you do to kind of make that final push of, hey, here's why you should do this?
Probably the number one thing I would tell them is that if you today spend this somewhat $40 extra to get this next level of coverage, and tomorrow you go out and you get in a multi-vehicle car wreck, your $40 is going to cover thousands and thousands of dollars in damages of property, damages, medical bills, and everything else along those lines. So what is a small cost to you right now can save you infinitely more in the future. And we understand that it's a risk. Insurance is entirely built upon risk. And so the idea that what if I spend this money now and it never gets used? Well, what if I spend this money now and you're able to not spend significantly more in the future? So it's understanding the balance between what if I do, what if I don't, and weighing out, would you rather risk having to spend more to not spend more right now?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that this job description lists is multitasking skills are really important because you could have a lot of different things going on at one time. So can you tell us about a time where you feel like you successfully managed multiple things at one time?
Yeah. Jumping back to when I did the Disney College program, I worked in the shop called the Droid Depot. And what that was, it was a droid themed shop where you can buy droid themed merchandise, but we also had a build your own experience where you got to pick pieces of droids and assemble them to have your own little partner. One of the stations that we as cast worked was the belt, and it was literally like a conveyor belt bringing pieces out for people to select their parts off of, and then they would go to a build station to build them. Now, in this station, you were required to make sure people got from the registers to their position on the belt, picked out their pieces, made sure that they were the correct pieces for the correct droid, because we sold both the BB and the R series, and then make sure they got assigned to a station with somebody who was able to help them build the droid. And that was a lot happening at once because you had people coming onto the belt, you had people looking through the belt, and then you had to assign people to go to their station. So you had to deal with a lot of people moving back and forth, a lot of literal moving parts and pieces, and making sure that everybody got in and out in a timely manner, but still got the full experience of building their own little droid friend.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've only been to the Droid Depot once, but it was really cool, and hopefully one day I'll get to do it. In this role, it sounds like you have a lot of experience working with people face-to-face communication, but in this role, it's obviously in a virtual environment. So how do you bring that physical interaction and how that feels for the customers to that virtual environment, so it feels like, you made an impact.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very different. It's a complete 180 from talking to someone face to face to talking to someone over the computer, especially because there's a lot you're missing. You're missing the physical gestures, you're missing the facial expressions, and you're missing the way that your voice sounds and the way that your voice changes as you're talking versus just typing. It really comes to being conscious of what you're saying when you're typing. So I might say something, and to me, it might come off as, oh, I'm just so excited and I'm so happy and I'm glad I can take care of this for you. But to the customer who might be a little disgruntled, it sounds very sarcastic and very condescending. So it's always being sure to think twice about what you're saying before you hit send so that you understand what your words are from your perspective, but also from the customer's perspective so that there's no chance of misinterpretation.
Yes, and I think you again hit it right on the nail right on the head of no misinterpretation, because it's really hard when you don't have those visual cues to kind of gauge where people are at. What is something that's not on your resume that you would like to tell us about?
When I was at the end of my freshman year in high school, it was the summer between my, or no, sorry, college. It was the summer between my freshman and my sophomore year in college. I got to have an international internship where I went to work in Tokyo. This was really exciting for me because I had studied Japanese growing up and I was a big fan of the culture and the language. So getting to experience it firsthand for myself was absolutely incredible. But it was still being thrown to the far end of the pool and saying, okay, go swim, because it is not a language that is easy to learn. It's not a culture that's easy to understand. And it's very, very different from the life I grew up in America. I had to learn how to communicate with people who didn't speak much English, as I only spoke a little bit of Japanese. I had to learn to respect different traditions and cultural things that they know that I had not learned about because I didn't grow up in that culture. So there was really a lot of cross-cultural understanding and learning I had to do in the span of just a summer to learn how to live and work in Japan for such a short amount of time. But I loved it. I got to be a tourist and a worker in that city, and I would absolutely go back and do it again.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing experience. I think, getting that exposure to different cultures is always really cool. So I'm very jealous that you got to do that. I think today, one of the last things I'd like to ask you or pose a question to is, we do have quite a few applicants applying to this position. So out of all of those applicants, why do you feel like you are the strongest candidate?
I have had throughout my entire life one major priority that I want to see myself do in every interaction that I have with every person, and that's to provide compassion. I believe that compassion is not something that people put a lot of emphasis on nowadays, and I believe it's one of the many skills that really does need to be developed for us to exist as humanity and interact with one another. And so I strive that in any relationship I have, any interaction I have, any conversation I have, is that I put compassion first so that I understand what situations people are in, that I understand what they might be facing in certain things, and that I don't see everything as a transaction, but I see everything as an opportunity for me to help someone. And especially in a customer service, customer facing role, these people are coming to us because they need the help. And that's the kind of person I want to be. If they come to us just wondering why their prices are so high, I'll be like, oh, I understand. I'm always looking at my finances too, but let me go take a look, see if I can get some additional discounts for you. And just things along those lines where you're able to put the customer first above all.
Great. Well, thank you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. And scene. First of all, a nice little round of applause for Kylie being such a fantastic interviewer. I have been to so many interviews in my life, and that was very impressive. Like, you should start interviewing people and like being a hiring manager of sorts. That was fantastic. Okay, now that you guys have had the opportunity to see me go through this very easy, promise, very simple interview process, are we guys comfortable breaking up, going into separate breakout rooms to go through our own individual interview process? I've got both of us on camera are cool with that. I've got one more guest. Ray, are you interested in partaking in an interview opportunity? Give her a second. Okay. So I am not hearing back from her. Or him, sorry. Oscar and Kylie, are you okay interviewing again? Just so I can let George take care
Sure.
of this. Okay.
Absolutely.
So Oscar and Kylie, I am direct messaging you guys right now a job description and then also some interview questions. So we are going to get you guys broken out with our attendees. You're going to give them the job description so that they have an idea of what the job is they're interviewing. And then you're going to, ask them the interview questions and go through that interview process. George, I'm also sending you how I want to do the different breakouts. George is going to send you guys a invite to a breakout room. You're going to join him. Kylie and Oscar are going to be your interviewers. You're going to go through that little interview process. So Kylie, Oscar, I do recommend copying and pasting what I just sent you so that it transfers over into your breakout room. Let your interviewee know what the job description is going to be, and then when they're ready and they're comfortable, go ahead and start the interview process. I'm going to start by giving you guys about 15 minutes, and we'll check up on you from there.
Sounds good.
George is working on putting everything together. Should just be another moment. While we're at it, thank you, George, for putting together all this technology stuff. And I guess while we have the moment as he's putting things together, did anyone have any questions about what you just saw?
Let's see.
Okay, I've made the rooms and I've assigned the folks to the rooms.
All right, so if you guys see it, go ahead, pop over.
Wait a minute. Kylie, no, wait a minute. I thought who are we putting in that room? Alex, right?
Honestly, so long as it breaks up
Yeah.
Kylie with one and Oscar with the other, I think it's not that big a deal. You did just invite me to join Kylie?
No, I don't see that. Yes, I see that. Well, don't go.
I didn't.
Okay, Kylie and Alex. Where's Alex? Kylie, did I send you over there?
I haven't received
You haven't received
anything.
Don't be that way. I'm gonna assign you then to your own room. Go to your room. Okay, now you should have received a request. Did you?
I think the fact that she's frozen is pretty promising.
Yeah, so I
Or
think,
not so-
yes, she's
Yep.
gone now. All right. Hey, can I bring up some things you had mentioned in what you were doing?
Yes.
Not corrections, but as you heard earlier, I'm a big TikTok fan. But I watch lots of TikToks on interview. Don't ask me why, because I used to do it perhaps, but lots of interviewing and hiring and sales things. But when your first question today that Kylie asked to you, tell me about yourself. I heard just a TikTok the other day where the man said, he says, when they ask you that question, they're really asking, why should I hire you? That's the crux of that question. Not, they don't want to know you're from Arkansas and, but they want to know why. Why should I hire you?
Mhm.
So as each question was coming up, I was trying to say, why that question? Why that question? Why Why us was your second question that you had. And what you did is you praised Geico, but you also demonstrated that you knew about Geico. And that's important for an interviewee to know that they know about the company. No, I just saw you in the newspaper. No, don't do that. I once interviewed a lady who had done her thesis on our company, her
Wow.
graduate thesis. And
Hired.
no, I'm going, hire. But my boss had me interviewing 10 of them, 10 people, so he could pick the final 2.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I was the interviewee, or no, interviewer for him in that case.
Mhm. Yep.
Leadership skills. So there you were. That's a hard one to demonstrate, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because that was your question number 3. Show me how you might be a leader in our company. But you went back to, what was that? The Galaxy Edge.
Yeah.
So have you used that one before? The Galaxy Edge as a leadership?
I have used that for about every job interview I've done since that time. Because first of all, it's very exciting to tell a hiring manager that you are on an opening team for Disney.
Mhm.
And it's also a really great opportunity to showcase my adaptability and my ability to be knowledgeable in very niche topics.
Now, let me ask you this. What was the Donald Duck question? What was the purpose of that? Was that just to break, ease up?
I think so. I gave Kylie a group of basic questions,
Mhm.
some that I remember from my actual interviews, some that you see commonly in interviews. And I also told her to just have fun with it. You come up with your own questions, put them in if you want. I think she just did that one to keep a conversation going and just have fun with it.
I remember my boss once in an interview, not unto me, but with somebody else that I was present with, he asked them which way they turned their toilet paper. But I think he was trying to just ease up, so it's intensity, and then you back off a little bit.
Yeah.
They relax.
Yeah, I think that kind of question has like 2 different things you can do with it. It's the we're having fun, we're having a conversation, let's talk about your favorite Disney characters. But it also throws them off the guard because they're sitting there like, my strengths, my weaknesses, my experiences, my favorite Disney character, what? So it's just giving them opportunity to understand how they react quickly on the spot to weird and sudden changes like that.
Okay. And a tough one is that, how do you deal with an angry customer? So but I think you answered it well, just by hearing them out and listening to what they had to say. One thing that it did occur to me is that you could, if you possible, to throw in an example of, I remember this one lady that came in and she had lost her phone, and then she was sure that it was on the ride.
Yeah. So many of those.
But examples always help, just like in Toastmasters, where you give an example to make your point. And of course, you had the question number 6. I numbered them all. You had 10 in total. One thing I didn't hear, or she didn't ask, do you have any questions of me? Did she? Why should I? No, I guess you could have thrown it in there. You could have thrown it in there. Because,
and that's pretty typical.
Yeah, but at
probably
that point, that's where you show you had done your homework more, because you want to be able to say, bring up something that maybe the hiring manager knows about. You found them on LinkedIn, and they're a member of the some society, and so somehow you play that in there, and you're able to make major points as in your closing statement. And that's what your last question really was about. Why should I pick you? Is give me a summary. And that was kind of like your first one. Tell me about yourself is really, why should I pick you? And your last one, that's how you really should close out an interview, is why should I pick you?
Absolutely.
I was going to say, while we wait, Alex, did you have any other questions just for the group in general, or any other feedback for me too? I guess I didn't ask that, but.
I personally am not experienced with the job interview process from the interviewer side. All I know is the basics that I learned in my human resources class. So I know what's supposed to go in a job description, how to make one, job analysis, whatever. I have no idea what a good job interviewer looks like, so I can't really speak to that. But it definitely felt like a real interview. So the role playing aspect of it was definitely on point. That said, Michael and I actually came here because we wanted to connect with you guys as a Toastmasters club. We've been traveling all around the world, from Moscow, Russia, to Silicon Valley, and now to Disney, because we thought, why not? It's the land of dreams and the middle.
Where dreams come true.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to visit Disneyland, so I can't say that quite yet. I will say it once I go. So yeah, we thought, why not? Let's visit Disney. Let's see how they do things. Let's connect with them. And if Michael was here, he could probably echo that. So, as a Toastmasters club, are you guys just tied with a resort, or how are you affiliated with Disney? I'm not actually too sure.
We're what's technically called a corporate company, or sorry, a corporate club. So we are kind of sponsored by Disney, but mostly they just let us host our meetings on property. So they've got a lot of like behind the scenes buildings where you see like a lot of the corporate kind of workers doing their jobs, and they have conference rooms and meeting areas. So for the most part, we're just people who work there who meet in that area.
At Disney
pre-COVID.
University, when you are meeting in person. So that's
One day.
cute. Yeah, one
They
day
would do some
soon,
closed
hopefully.
meetings or breakout rooms.
Yeah, right now we are meeting virtually. So usually our meetings are at 7:10 Wednesday morning. So I know that's a little early for some people, but it works out nicely because we do have a lot of different kinds of cast members in our club. So we have, like, I work backstage, so I'm not in the parks with guests every day, but I'm more on the corporate side. And I know Rachel has talked about her experience working in the park. So it's a really cool blending of just cast members from all areas of Walt Disney World.
Wait, and is it true that you guys have to point like with two fingers like that?
Disney point.
Yes.
Out and
Very
about,
true.
or like the Canadians say, right? Hey.
All right. Sounds like we've got a lot of fun things to talk about, and I do want to give you time to do that. But for the sake of hitting our 12 o'clock stop time, I just want to wrap this up. Awesome backgrounds, you guys. I've truly been impressed with all of the Star Wars that's come up, and it makes my little nerd heart happy. But we do want to thank you guys for taking time to come out and participating in the interview. I hope that our interviewees and our interviewers and whoever watches this afterwards get something from this. And I also want to say that if you guys have any questions, you here and then you watching, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to us. We would love to give you the opportunities to conduct one-on-one interviews. If you do ever have a role you're coming up for and you want to help practice, we'd love to do that with you guys. If you want to practice in a larger group and you want a lot of feedback, we do have meetings very similar to this, where we give you the opportunity to speak and to practice speaking. We call it Toastmasters. Our group meets every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love it. But we also have a whole bunch of sister clubs that meet throughout the week. So if that time doesn't work for you, we would love to get you guys connected to have that opportunity to speak in very fun, very safe, very comfortable environments. If you are keeping up with us, we do have our 5th and final seminar, which is going to be an overview of everything we've done in what I like to call how to be smart as you're job interviewing. So it's everything that we've taught you before, a little recap, but it's also teaching you how to be smart about what postings are scams, what postings you should avoid, how to not just type anything and leaf through a million different pages of job postings to understand what you need to be looking for as you're doing the interview process. This is going to be June 12th, same time, same Zoom link, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all this information is going to go out on our social media pages. It's also going to be an Eventbrite setup as well, so take a look for that. Is there any final questions from anybody before we close off and we just get to have some fun chit chat?
No, come on.
Okay.
Okay, Oscar, would you close us out?
Okay. Thank you all for attending. Congratulations, Rachel, another successful workshop.
And now we'd love to tell you guys about Toastmasters if you want to learn
Yeah.
more about our
Well,
club.
well.
Were there any our club specific Toastmasters questions you guys wanted answered or to hear about?
Or Michael, Alex, tell us where you're from.
Well, Michael, that's your cue. I've already been talking too much.
All right, yeah, sure. So we are both from Ryerson University. We're part of the club there, so it's in Toronto.
Ah, good.
And I'm the current president of the club. So me and Alex have been touring the world trying to see what we can find. And whenever we see Walt Disney, it's time to come on board. So that's why we're here. And so this online environment has really been about connecting with others we won't get the chance to, because we know when things go back, you won't get these opportunities. So we're trying to make the most of it while we can.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
we're trying to make the connections while possible. And Rachel, I can really relate to your experiences because I just graduated a few weeks ago from industrial engineering, and same scenario of I got my degree, now what? So this is absolutely perfect practice for me. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, good. Well, congratulations. That I will say what I want about business, but like engineering is the next step up. I have so many friends that I'm like, you don't get sleep. So well done.
But-
Congratulations with that.
Michael, after our talk together, I hope you do apply for a Disney role.
Yeah, sounds good, Oscar. I'd love to speak to you, so I'll definitely consider it in the future.
Yeah, I mean, just, step out there. But it did sound like, you would like to do something like that. So we'll see. We'll see what will happen.
Down here, they're not engineers, though. They're Imagineers.
Imagineers, yes. That's right.
All right, Alex, you're up next.
Nice. All right, so this is the sales pitch part of the meeting. Totally joking. But yeah, so we were going all around the world because at one point we had this crazy idea and we looked at all the club descriptions of everyone. And we noticed that everyone says guests are welcome. But most people don't really use that. And we thought, what if we went ahead and just visited a lot of these places and just made those connections and said, hey, if you want to come back and visit us, you're welcome to do so. If you want us to visit again, we're definitely going to do so. And so far, we've been able to connect with amazing people from Harvard and MIT, and earlier this week, even Apple. I don't know how Michael pulled that off, but this guy did it.
Well, that's good.
So I guess Walt Disney is next. And yeah, well, we're kind of striving to become the most well-connected Toastmasters club in the world. And with that said, I mentioned that you guys can come visit us. We meet Tuesdays, 6 to 8 in the evening. Not in the morning, in the evening. I know that's going to be crazy for you, but yeah. And this right here is our Eventbrite link. We are a university club. So all of our execs are students, all of our members are students. And just like you were kind of affiliated with university, but not really. So, they pay for some of our stuff, but then we kind of just do our own thing,
Yeah.
really similar to what you're doing. So you're more than welcome to visit us, anyone that wants to. And we'd love to have you.
Oh.
Thank you. I just captured that address.
Mhm. And then for you guys, that's our website. It's got all of our information all about it. It's got all of our sister clubs on it. So they've got their own meetings and times and people. So that's like 4 different clubs of information right there for you guys, spread out all across the Central Florida area.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And
Again,
Ryerson.
I appreciate it was all public in the first place.
Yeah, we're
Come
very
on.
like, come join
Come
us.
on, they're trying for you.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. It was nice for you to stop in. I hope that this was somewhat at least fun and worth your little hour of time. I hope that we all got to enjoy this a little bit. We do appreciate your attendance.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun. And you guys are the first club we visited that did a Pledge of Allegiance, at least me personally that I visited. And I've been to like 50 in the past 2 months. That is
That's
I
good.
feel like that's one of our lesser used traditions because I was part of a chapter when I was in college and we did not do a lot of the stuff that this chapter does now. So it's a lot of fun to see all the different things that they do with every club.
Yeah, each one is different, and yours is uniquely awesome. And
Yeah,
this is
there you go. Thank you.
Now, of
Yeah,
course,
I've been to a
nice.
lot of clubs. So I loved what we have here.
Thank you. That means a lot to us.
yeah, I have to give Rachel a lot of credit for this. She created this whole workshop series, and she does so much. She's not only going to do that, she's training me in dance because she's a 20-year experienced ballerina. And that's happening on Zoom for my wedding dance with my daughter. So that's coming up in October. So, you know, the talent we have is unmatched. Sometimes I look at it and I think, wow, but it's a lot of fun. So maybe we'll have to have a clip when we get that final perfect, I don't know, dance, and we'll have to share that, right, Rachel?
We'll,
I'm a
we'll
little
make that a
stiff right
speech
now.
of yours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Just
we'll
a little-
incorporate that somehow into one of your speeches.
Okay,
That'll be
that
fun.
sounds good.
host a Just Dance battle, but don't invite me because I will win, and I don't want to do that to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, hold up. Don't talk a big game here. 'Cause I'm throwing my hat in the ring.
Okay, I've never lost, so
Oh, game on. Game
Okay.
on.
Sounds like a meeting theme coming up.
There's a little
Yeah.
distance, but yeah. We'll
Now,
figure-
Fire
we'll figure it
next
out.
Walt Disney Just Dance competition.
Oh, don't tempt me. Don't tempt
Don't
me.
tempt
with
me.
time.
Rachel's going to
Okay.
train me.
Make it a reality.
You wait.
Uh,
We're working. Okay, go ahead, George.
Oh, I was just going to say that we have a regular visitor from Toronto,
Kelsey?
Yeah.
Kelsey. Yeah, almost every week she comes down and visits. Just, it's easy. So guys, we know it's easy to visit from up there.
Yeah. Like you said, guests are always welcome.
Yeah.
And we really mean it.
Well, maybe we get you on our email when we send out every week, and then encourage you to come.
Yeah, see down here, guest is spelt with a capital G, right?
It's not an American thing. That's a Disney thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
In
he says
Canada.
down here, he means Disney.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, same idea, right?
Up in Canada, guest, eh? Oh.
I apologize. And we've scared Michael away. I do apologize.
Okay.
It's just the incoming president of our club was calling me, so I'm thinking, should I take it? Should
Okay.
I not?
That is important. Please take care of that. We understand.
Okay. Well, thank you, R. I didn't know if anybody else needed to say anything. Should we close it out or?
If we're all good for the day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this was fantastic.
Okay.
Rachel?
Yeah, great meeting. Excited for the
Thank
next
you,
one to finish off this
everyone.
one.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank
you,
you all.
guys.
Look forward to you coming back.
All right.
Bye,
Likewise.
everybody.
Thank you all.
Congratulations, Rachel. Another great
Bye.
meeting.
Thanks.